So a new GOP poll for 2024 has dropped, and I've been monitoring this with some interest to see if any candidates could potentially pull ahead of Donald Trump, who, of course, has not yet declared his candidacy for 2024, but I think we all know that that's where things are headed on the Republican side. Obviously, the 2024 GOP primary is going to be an absolute shit show, one that we're excited to cover. And let's take a look at this newest poll, which gives us an idea of which direction things might go in. So here's Poll Tracker on Twitter. This is a McLaughlin and Associates poll, and it looks like Trump is right here with 55%, clearly still the front runner. Next up is DeSantis at 9%, and following that is Mike Pence at 8%, which again is kind of more Trump support if you think about it. Candace Owens comes in here at 4%, hilariously ahead of Ted Cruz, Nikki Haley, Mitt Romney, Marco Rubio, etc. So all of these long shot candidates that, still want to come back and still want to be relevant, a la Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, if you remember, these characters ran the last time around, or rather in 2020 or in 2016, the last time there was a real GOP primary. They're going to try to make another run for it, stay relevant, maybe become the nominee. But it looks like Trump is just blocking out the fucking sun right now, as we all kind of expected, as we all kind of knew what happened. It looks like he's still easily in the lead here. I think he would basically wipe out a 2024 GOP primary. And despite the fact that I've been keeping my eyes on Ron DeSantis for a while, he's certainly risen a lot in notoriety in the Republican electorate. He certainly gained a lot of attention and praise from Republican voters for being kind of the anti-lockdown governor in Florida, kind of embodying all of the anti-liberal approach to coronavirus over the last year or so. I've been paying attention to him more and more, and I just don't think he has it in him to take out Trump. He's certainly, like I said, popular among Republican voters, but he's just not compelling of a speaker enough. He doesn't have that Trumpian element that would be necessary to combat Trump, because you have to think you have to fight fire with fire in a Republican primary. You can't try to beat Trump by being respectful or nice. We saw that happen with Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz. They refused to get on his level and play in the muck and sling shit back at him. And unfortunately, that's what it would take to destroy Trump. DeSantis does not seem to be capable of that. He kind of seems, I don't know what the right word is, but just a little schleppy or something. I don't think he's going to be able to deliver the job necessary. What I will be interested to see, though, is if Trump decides to pick a new running mate and how early in the process he would do so. So I think it's probably pretty fair to say he won't choose Mike Pence again. That's been indicated through a few reports, a few leaks. So it'll be interesting to see if he tries to team up with DeSantis to become kind of a power ticket and take the 24 GOP primary by storm that way. I think that would pretty much clear all the competition, clear the lane for Trump entirely. Something else I predicted earlier in the show's history is that he might choose Candace Owens as his running mate. Obviously, someone who's more relevant with the youth. And of course, the GOP has been trying to expand their reach among the African-American electorate. So in their minds, that might help as well. Either way, it'll be really interesting to see if Trump gets back in the race, who he declares as his running mate, if he throws Pence under the bus, which he likely will, and who he replaces Pence with, whether that's a DeSantis or a Candace Owens. I'm going to be fascinated to see, and it's also going to be really interesting to see how the Democrats end up, trying to combat that inevitable decision, whether it's with Joe Biden and Kamala again, or with Kamala leading the ticket and another running mate, in the event that Joe Biden has to retire. Will there be a whole nother primary? Who knows? Anyway, we're going to be here to cover it, and obviously we're super excited. 2024 is really still far away, but it feels like things are, kind of starting to heat up.
Yeah, and I think if DeSantis ever becomes president, it'll be in 2028, and it'll be because he was successfully able to get into the White House as a vice president to Donald Trump. The thing is that Donald Trump, regardless of what any of us think about him, how obviously fraudulent he has been, how many times he exposes himself to the public at large as a fraud, as a charlatan, as a fake populist, all these things that he didn't do. They did a great takedown on Rising of his phony ass war with big tech and all that kind of shit, right? But that doesn't matter to about half of the Republican electorate, right? Half of the fucking Republican electorate, as we see here, evidence 55, so a little more than half in this poll, but usually it's right about half, right about 50%. Ride for Trump like a motherfucker, man. He is like Barack Obama to the Republican Party. Everybody knows how fucking popular, maybe not as popular now, but there was a time when, if Barack Obama could run a third time, he was going to win the fucking primary, man. You know what I'm saying? He would have demolish Hillary in a third primary if we didn't have that restriction, right?
And do you think he would have beat Trump if he had been able to run for a third term?
Yes,
I do too.
I do. I think that Hillary was uniquely unpopular even amongst Democrats. And also, if you look at places like the demographics that didn't vote for Trump and places like Michigan, key swing states, that kind of thing, I think they would have gone for Obama. At least that's what the past showed that they were willing to do. But either way, I think that he has an absolute ironclad lock on the Republican nomination if he wants to use it. I think that is completely clear. So it'll really come down to how does he want to try and build his legacy, and how does he want to leave his hand in the Republican Party after 2024. So I think that if he's going to use his leverage and all of his power that he has, what he would do is decide who he wants to be president after him and pick that person to be his VP. If it's Ron DeSantis, I think he'll have a much easier time winning. But he could also do something like picking his son to be his vice president because he wants to tee him up for like a dynasty, sort of a la Bush style, have like a Trump presidency dynasty, like the Bush had a presidency dynasty. I could see Trump being somebody that's really interested in having the new Bush dynasty as being a Trump dynasty. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but I just think that if he runs, he's got it unlocked, and the only way for somebody to win will be to get his blessing if he doesn't run.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. And one more thing that I wanted to highlight from this poll before we move on to our final story of the stream, or close to final story rather, is that Josh Hawley is noticeably completely absent from the poll. Of course, he's our senator here in Missouri, a pretty vile character who nonetheless had pretty obvious presidential ambitions from the very beginning, someone that definitely was hoping to be competitive in the 2024 national Republican primary and seemingly will not be competitive. Hilariously enough, he's not even listed on this poll at 0%. Like South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is. Again, she's at 0%, which I guess made the poll anyway, but Hawley has no such luck. He's nowhere to be found on here. So it doesn't look like he'll be making much of a showing. It looks like he's probably squandered his relevance and popularity, especially after his handling of the January 6th incident. So, definitely interesting results. And I always enjoy seeing how the, electorate is feeling when it comes to stuff like this. And I'm keeping an eye on these 2024 polls.